Watcher, welcome to Narrowboat Lane. This one is going to be one for people who are new to boating or just interested in the mechanical side of a narrowboat. I'm giving mine a service. Every boater who owns a boat should be able to do this for themselves, but keeping with the theme of saving money where you don't need to be spending it, I'm going to be doing a service on the engine. Yeah, so join us. Right then, ladies and gents, here we are in the engine room, the beating heart of our beastie boat. Ours is a BMC 1.8. A lot of people don't like them, but I think this engine is an absolute workhorse. It's the sort of engine you can just use and abuse, and as long as you give it a bit of TLC, it will just keep you giving you mile after hour after mile after hours worth of service without giving you any grumbles. Right, basic service, where do we start? I must admit at this point I have to do a disclaimer and say I've actually already done it. As those of you who regularly watch the channel and also my subscribers will know, I'm still currently using my phone to film, so I'm one-handed. And this is definitely a two-hand job. Right, first things first, what do you do? Well, what I do is I start the engine and let her have a good run for 10-15 minutes, get the engine nice and warm, knock her off, and then what I do is I remove this dipstick. There is a sump plug for the oil on the bottom of the engine, but if you can manage to see, room in here is a bit cramped and there is no way, especially with this safety cage that's been welded in place around the engine. It is removable, but what a faff. So what I tend to do is remove that dipstick, and then I use, sorry about the noise, then I use my little hand pump, which is still in the oil, which I need to dispose of down the local tip. But that long thin tube at the bottom that you can see goes all the way down the dipstick tube into the sump. With the engine being nice and warm, the viscosity is a lot thinner, so you can hand pump all of the oil out. I managed to get 5 gallons of oil, sorry, 5 gallons, what am I, American? 5 litres of oil out. There's probably still a few bits of crud in the bottom, but unless you take the sump off, you're never going to get to that. So yeah, that was oil out. While that's draining, the tricky bit started, and I'm going to see if I can try and show you. Sorry about the background noise, but there is a lot of rubbish kept in our engine room. Right, just down there with the black thing with the white writing, that's your oil filter. That simply screws off, and then you manage to wangle it out the way. Take care when you're doing this, especially if room's tight, because if what I've managed to do is there a couple of, if you follow that blue wire down into the depths of the engine, it goes to the starter motor. Yeah, well, I dislodged that, and after about 15 minutes of head scratching, realised that that's why I couldn't get the engine started afterwards. Anyway, so long story short, oil filter out, new oil filter in. On the top of the oil filter you've got a rubber ring, so just dip your finger in the oil, rub it round the rubber ring just to get it moist. That will help seal the oil filter. Make sure this is on nice and tight at this point. Hand tight, don't over tighten it, but just a really good hand tight on the oil filter should stop any leaks or any worries. Right, then remove this cap, and that's where you put your new oil. I don't think I've still got the can, I think I've used the can for something else. Yeah, I did. I've used Halford's Classic Oil, which is a 2050, and it's an API CC rated oil. If you go onto Halford's site and put classic car oil, it will come up. It comes in a tin, 5 litre tin, 20 quid. Mine takes 5 litres, so it's happy days. I've also got a bit left over from the last time I did it, so for any top-ups, but my engine uses 0 oil. It's really good on oil, my engine. Right, so that was the oil part done. Obviously what you want to do then is get underneath. I can't show you at the moment because, like I say, it's full of junk. I should have prepared better for you, but yeah, get underneath, check for any leaks. I then started the engine over, let it run for a bit, let everything warm up, checked for leaks again, and I did have a leak, and it was the fact that I hadn't tightened the oil filter up tight enough. So took it back off just to make sure it was seated, make sure the thread was clean, put it back on, give it a good tighten, ran the engine, no leaks, but then I had to get some nappies and clean up the oil. Right, that was the oil change done. Second thing, new air filter. I don't know where my engine come from, but this engine filter housing is off an Austin A60 car, which is great, bit of character. No, not really. You try finding an air filter that fits it. Mine took a massive internet search and 3 weeks for me to get hold of a new air filter for that. So when I did finally find a supplier, I bought 3 or 4 of them, so that I know now that I'm okay for the next 1,000 hours of cruising. Anyway, yeah, so air filter, yours may well be different from mine, but just what I recommend is, especially if you're lucky, you can get a part number off the air filter that you've got. If not, take your air filter along to the local car part place, Euro car parts, somewhere like that, or even Halfords. Take it with you. You might be lucky and they might just hold your one in stock. If not, if like me, what you should have done, like I should have done, is just replace the whole housing and put like a more modern universal filter in that I can get from anywhere, which I'll probably do when the ones that I've got run out. Right, then I moved on to the depth of the engine. In fact, if you give me 2 seconds, I'm going to put the flash on for this. There we go. There we go, bit of flash. Right, that there is my gearbox. I've been doing a bit of research, and through some people offering me some knowledge, I've got a Hearth ZF gearbox. Now, can you see that pink fluid on the floor? That is automatic transmission fluid, which is what I have to use, as that little red sign there will tell you. You remove this, which is the dipstick. Let me show you this, and in there's like a little breather hole. You take that out, you put in a little bit. There's a line on the bottom of the dipstick which will tell you how far to go up to. I think I overfilled mine a little bit. Anyway, did it back up, turned the engine on, put the engine into gear, let the gearbox have a good 5 minutes, and quite rapidly I found a leak. Now, where my issue comes from is I'm not sure whether it's been a historic leak since we bought the boat. Bear in mind we haven't even had it a year yet, and that I've been running the gearbox on minimal oil. Hence, when I filled the oil up, it's coming out of a leak that's further up in the box. As the gearbox has been giving me no problems and no groaning or no binding, no nothing like that, I'm assuming that's what's been happening. Because on further inspection, it's going to be impossible for me to show you, but on further inspection, if I get underneath, this is where the leak's coming from, but obviously on the underneath side, which would look to me like I'm going to have to remove the coupling and the shaft to get to that seal. Yeah, it's not a job I'm looking forward to, but like I say, at the moment we're not planning on going out and cruising or anything anyway, so I've got a bit of time to get that sorted. But anyway, just for the sake of servicing, every gearbox will be different. As I say, on a Hearth, you remove that. You can take out the old stuff using that pump I've shown you, or on the underside is an identical bolt directly underneath this one, and you can remove that and drain the oil out that way. Please be careful, more careful than I was, to only put in the correct amount of oil. If you overfill these things, they really don't like it. Yeah, so there you go, a little quick mini service, and it is only a mini service. If you were going to do a full service, obviously I'd recommend you change your fuel filter, your little pre-filter before the fuel filter, check and clear the gauze on the engine, the breather gauze, make sure that's clear on the fuel line, and it's all really easy stuff. But there's obviously I've got a BMC 1.8. And with the varying different types of engines out there, unless you've got a BMC 1.8, it would be completely pointless me showing you it up on how to do a full service. But the basics, i.e. oil change, air filters, that sort of thing, it's going to be the same on every engine, pretty much, give or take. So yeah, I mean, the average service now, a couple of £100, you know what I mean? That took me literally not even an hour, you know? So yet another good saving to be had. I know there's going to be people out there who either can't be bothered or don't have the skill set, or, you know, are too nervous to attempt it themselves. But honestly, you really want to try, especially if you're not planning on going out, so you take the time pressure off yourself, because it really is. It's just a simple saving to make. Parts wise, how much did I spend? I spent 20 quid on oil. I spent another 20 quid, sorry, 14 quid on automatic transmission fluid. It's going to end up costing me a bit more because I've now got to sort that seal out on the gearbox, which I'm not looking forward to, because I don't know exactly what I'm doing with it, but we'll see. Certainly not going down the route of buying a new recon box for the sake of an oil leak. Not at 1,300 quid, I'm not anyway. Yeah, so really well worth doing yourself. If you're not sure, for the first time, get someone who knows. I mean, like I say, it's only going to take an hour or two. I'm sure that there'd be a friendly neighbour somewhere who's more confident, who can come and show you. And once you've been shown once, you'll never pay anyone to do it again. It really is just wasted money. Yeah, so just a little short one this week, because there's not been a lot going on work-wise on the boat. Obviously, I've painted it all and that the other week. So I've took my foot off the gas a little bit this last week, just having a bit of rest and relaxation, because that was a brutal week, that really was. But yeah, so this weekend what we got planned, we're going out on a little mini cruise. Our wharf that we're moored in, we're all going out on a little jolly up for the 3-day bank holiday. So I'm hoping to do some footage of that, just to show you that it's not all just work. We do enjoy the boat as well. What I want to do with the channel is I want to try, and it didn't start off this way, but it's turning into now like a little mini crusade. In the just short of a year that we've been living aboard, especially in the first 6 months with zero experience, I was spending money hand over fist, because I was completely unaware of how easy some of these jobs are, and how easy it is to save bags of cash, and I mean bags of cash. It infuriates me a little bit. I won't get angry on the vlogs, I'll stay in happy mode, but it infuriates me a bit the way that people feel literally like they've got no choice other than to write blank checks out for people to come work on their boats. It infuriates me. So through my pain and my trial and error, hopefully you'll suss out whether or not a job's worth attempting yourself, whether you're happy with the results, or whether you prefer to pay somebody to come in and do these jobs. But yeah, so my channel's going to be starting to veer off down the route now a little bit. Trying to save a few quid. You shouldn't have to be skint just because you live on a boat. It's nonsense. It really is. Right then, guys. Like I say, just a quickie this week because there's been bugger all happening. I'll do some filming over the weekend and hopefully update that at the beginning of next week for you, just to give you the happier side of life. But we're certainly not going to be doing cruising videos week after week after week, because there's much more interesting people out there in much more interesting places than we can go. Right. Stay tuned. Thank you, Henry. Stay tuned. Subscribe if you'd like to. Hit the little bell so you I mean, what was the point in that? Jumps on my lap, jumps off. Yeah, hit the little bell, and that way you can keep up with our latest trial and error missions that I'll start myself on. And we're really happy for you to come along. Comment whatever you want to comment. I'll read every single one. I'll try to reply to every single one. If I do miss you, it's because I haven't seen it. But yeah, I'm really happy. I'm so happy that you all want to come along and watch me bumbling my way through life. So yeah, cheers. See you all again.